Dad Pants time again. Dad Pants time again. You can feel it, can't ya? You can smell the hickory smoke coming off the barbecue. Hello, everybody. Welcome. I'm Stu, and I'm here with the Dad Pants panel again. Matt, Rich, and Ben. God, it's good to have you guys here. Welcome.
G'day.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. It is great to be back.
How are we all feeling? Let's get a vibe for what the tone is.
I'm thirsty.
Oh, yeah? You got a drink there?
Sure do.
What's that?
What's Wiggo drinking?
It's a South Coast Pale Ale. That's what that is.
Ooh,
Okay.
Very nice.
I see your pale ale, and I raise you a glass of scotch.
Ooh.
In dadliness.
Oh, has it got a sphere piece of ice in it? An ice shaped like a sphere?
You know what? It's not in my drink, but I could easily just go and get one from the freezer.
Outstanding. You've got one of those.
I've got two of them, yeah.
Oh my goodness. So, all right, Ellis, what are you drinking?
I'm also on the whiskies tonight. I'm on a scotch, on a bit of a Dalwhinnie, which is a nice little sweet number from the nice peaty sweetie.
Lovely. And Stu, what are you on?
Well, I brought a bottle of water in here and then went out to get something and realised I had some Coke there and some bourbon.
All right.
And I went, all right, go all right then.
I put them together.
Bourbon and Coke.
That fucking hell.
What?
What kind of bourbon is it?
I don't know. Are you going to judge me if it's not top shelf?
Is it
No, I
Confederate?
just want to know.
Goodness no.
I don't reckon I've had a bourbon and Coke for 15 years.
Absolutely. I think I accidentally drank one night when I was drunk. Like, it was kind of I picked up something off a table and started drinking, and I was like, oh, what the hell was that?
Well, I hadn't drunk one for a long time, and then lockdown made me start looking at some, varied drink options.
Yep. Fair.
Lockdown last year, I mean, not this year, but yeah. So I'll buy one occasionally.
Nice.
A bit of Coke.
Well, can I
Coke,
just
no sugar.
can I just quickly shove something in here that's
We're already
probably
derailed,
not
aren't
wanted,
we?
but I'm going to ask it anyway. Now,
I kept the run sheet short this time, just for this very.
there is a difference between what a dad puts in his drink as an addition versus what a mum puts in their drink as an addition, and I mean that by Matthew, you have an ice maker that makes your ice into a big sphere.
We have, yes, the silicone ball that you fill with water and put in the freezer.
Outstanding. Now, my wife has metal, more like Easter eggs that you put in the freezer that you can then put in your glass of wine or in your vodka or whatever it may be.
There's whiskey stones you can get, which you're supposed to do the same things with. I'm not quite sure what they're made out of, but say you're not diluting your whiskey with water, you can put in a whiskey stone to cool it down.
That sounds good. Like, that sounds daddish.
Yeah.
The phrase whiskey stone.
I think they're made out of granite or something similar. Like, there's some proper...
Even better. That's very dad, isn't it?
That's huge.
I don't want to water down my drink, and I want to have some granite in my
That's right. I'd like to make my drink heavier.
How hard are you?
Yeah.
I've got granite in my whiskey.
Can we get sponsored by Granite Whiskey Stones?
I'll take anyone at this point. Even take, Tom and Pam's takeaway down the corner there. All right. Can I kick this off with a little Dadecdote? And by the way, sorry, I should mention, Monty, we're missing you. I hope everything's going well, friend.
Good luck, Mons.
And Lindsay,
Thinking of you,
his
Mons.
wife, of course. Little Dadecdote here. So every Wednesday, my oldest son has soccer training. And so my youngest son and I have taken this as an opportunity to spend an hour kicking the soccer ball around. And that's something that we really look forward to. He gets really excited to do it. And it's a bit of planned fun time that doesn't really move, if you know what I mean, in the week schedule. So, yeah, last week we were down there and, oldest son doing his soccer training. Dylan and I stand off to the side, kicking the ball around, having fun. I've left my phone in the car and I'm waiting for a work email. So I'll just say, hang on, mate, hang on. I'll walk back to the car, see if the email's come in. It hasn't. All right, put the phone back in the glove box, lock the car, walk back. There's another dad kicking the ball to my son.
Whoa. Okay. This is like barbecue style, but way, way, way over the line.
Now, I was only gone a couple of minutes. So it doesn't feel like an organic amount of time where you might watch a kid sadly standing by himself and go, I'll cheer him up and kick the ball to him. It just... Yeah.
So did he pass him the ball a couple of times, or was it sort of like a genuine sort of, oh, you've accidentally kicked the ball over here and I'm going to pass it back to you?
No.
And you've just caught it at that moment?
Or was it like, I'm your dad now?
Yeah.
Well,
It's
it
not
was.
time to make a change. Just relax. Take it easy.
I wondered if, my soul had left my body and I was watching myself from afar.
Wow.
But no, it was a different bloke. And he was kicking, it was back and forth. And so my instinct was to slow my walk down so that I didn't get there too quick, to give the other dad plenty of time to see me coming so he would back off and stop kicking the ball to my son so I could kick the ball with my son.
Right.
And then as I got closer, Dylan started getting really awkward because he didn't want to be rude to the other guy, but he also wanted to get the ball around with me, so he was going, my dad. There you go. And the other guy went, oh, and then started wandering back off to the training. So, yeah, it was a bit of a weird feeling, a bit of a weird kind of shudder moment to turn around and realise how quickly you can be replaced.
That would have been very awkward. Nearly as awkward as me having to wave off my daughter who just walked into the laundry to ask me about five questions. She had a piece of paper to ask me a whole heap of things, and I had to wave her off.
Right.
So that's going to be awkward later. Sorry, everyone. That's when you fail as a father, from my end.
Yeah. That would have been organic on the show, though, if she came in and...
Ask you some questions.
Where they might have been dad-related. Maybe she's a fan. Maybe she's,
No, it was about dessert.
Okay. Well, your 5-year-old's better at making lists than you, though. That seems to be the thing.
She wanted to put some granite stones in her ice cream. Cold rock.
Cold rock.
Oh, genius.
Nice work.
All right. So, anything else daddish happened to anyone this...
I'll just jump in and say I was watching TV. What were we watching? Mandalorian with my youngest. And she turned to me and she said, did they have TV when you were young?
Wow.
And I said,
All right, and so
What?
who's they, first of all?
yeah, good question. I didn't pose they. Yeah.
Were there like 7 people that had a television?
Mandalorians, did they have... Maybe she meant that. But, yeah, and I said, what are you talking about? Like, TV's been around for when your Poppy was, like, a kid. They had TV.
Yeah.
And I was like, that's ridiculous. Anyway.
Yeah, but then she goes,
eventually said,
so when you went on the internet, you went, oh, we didn't have the internet.
didn't have the internet, yeah. Your mobile phone, no, we didn't have that either. Yeah. But no, she said, oh, no, I knew you had TV. I just meant like Netflix or like Disney Plus. I was like,
right.
What
no,
they
we didn't have
consider
that.
TV.
Were they?
No, we didn't have
Yes.
that. Yes, exactly. No.
We had real TV.
Yeah.
We had three channels. And
Yeah.
Then we bored her to death with talking to her about how you used to have to change the channel and
Even standing up to change channel. Did anyone have
standing up and tuning it in a little.
Yeah.
Oh, she was very intrigued for 10 seconds.
It's very strange to try and explain to, someone younger the idea of linear TV and radio.
Yeah.
Well,
Try and explain. My favourite thing to explain is what a rotary phone is.
yeah.
We've got one in our house at the moment. Non-functional,
really?
but as a toy, yeah.
Okay.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
I thought you were just getting a bit hipsterish with that ensuite.
A rotary phone would be awesome.
You have to speak up. I'm wearing a towel. Wow, I've tried explaining the internet to my 4 and 5-year-old, and that's very difficult. Like, how do you explain that in terms a child can understand? It's like, is it just a big computer where everything lives, or all the computers, or yeah,
Well, everyone's computer's connected to everyone else's computer.
yeah, I know, but what is it? Like, if it's like when it comes down to when the TV's not working, like, you know, Dad, it's not working. Why is it working? Well, the internet's out. What's the internet?
Oh, no.
Good question.
Well, then try and explain that when we were young, you couldn't be on the internet if someone wanted to be on the phone in your house.
Oh, God. Yeah, that was interesting. Or picking up the phone when someone was on the internet.
Yeah.
Getting a screech.
We're officially 80 years old, everybody.
Correct.
Yeah.
All right.
So, previously, we've dropped a slight mention here or there of the Dad Commandments. Now, this is a list of sacred rules, I guess, or just sacred kind of ideas about what it is to be a dad. So the ones we've discussed previously are as follows. Number 1, Dad Commandment. Know your limitations. So that means, obviously, if you're going to attempt something, have a fairly decent idea that you're going to be able to do it, rather than make it worse and make a buffoon of yourself. You know?
Can I give you an example of something like this?
Oh, yes, an example.
So, about 3 years ago, maybe 4 years ago, I took my family to Aqua Splash on the waterfront down near Gosford. Now, for those of you that don't know what Aqua Splash is, it's basically a whole heap of inflatable bits and bobs on water that you run around and jump on and have a great time. Now, we had... The kids were so excited about going to Aqua Splash, and I thought, this is going to be great fun. I'm going to have a blast. Within a minute of being out on the first pontoon, I decided, you know what? That's a big flat pontoon. I can do a bit of a run, maybe do a bit of a slide. You know what? I'm going to do a knee slide and then slide off into the water. Now, keep in mind, everyone, I've never done a knee slide before in my life, but
And you're nudging
geez,
40.
those guys that play professional football and soccer and all those things, they make it look super easy. Don't you just slide on your knees and then you pop up and all your friends come around and everyone has a great time?
They're not 40.
They're not 40. So I ran into a knee slide, and as I went down, my entire body weight collapsed onto my right knee, and I actually heard a pop for the first time.
That's what it sounds like.
That's what a pop is, right. So I would say probably within 90 seconds of being out on an inflatable pontoon in the middle of the Brisbane water, I'd felt like I'd blown my knee out and actually had to stay out there, because otherwise my kids would have had to have come in, because I was one of the adults that was looking after them. So my suggestion is know your limitations.
Right.
I think, again, we go. Both you and my father have taught me well over the years with that kind of thing, because I went on one of those things this summer, and all I thought of was, oh, just don't do what Wiggins did. Take it easy. My kids were like, let's do this. And I was like, you do it. I'll stand over here and I'll watch you do that bit. Oh, look, we can jump and do a backflip. No, you do a backflip. But I remember my dad we were playing rugby in the backyard when I was about 10, and my dad said, oh, yes, awesome. And he joined in, and he went tearing down the sideline and tore his calf, really, pretty badly. And it's the same thing of, like, now I go, no, I don't have to get involved. I don't have to prep the ears back and, like, run for the first time in 10 years.
How far did he get before it went?
He was motoring down the sideline, and then, not far. I reckon about 8 metres.
Yeah, I was going to say, because it's a backyard.
Yeah. We had a fairly big backyard, and he was like, motor it, and then, blew it out straight away. The other part is
still
like
rock him,
home. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, when he was down, just went over the top. the other one is like home maintenance. Like last year, we put new floorboards down, and when we went to buy them, the guy was like, "Oh, they're easy. These are easy. Anyone can put them together." Blah 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 blah. I looked it up online, and I was like, "Yeah, we'll see how that goes." And then I just kept doing a bit more research, and my wife was like, "Well, what are you gonna? Do you think you can do it?" And I looked it up. I was like, "No, I'm not going to do it." Because as soon as the guy was like, "Oh, sometimes when you do it, you might get a whole row in, and then you realise you've put it in back to front." And I was like, "Nah, that's not my job.
Yeah.
I'm not that guy. I don't know how long that takes to do the first row. I'd imagine it takes a lot longer than the rest because you don't know what you're doing. And then you get there and you're like, oh, I've done them back to front." It's like, no. I said, I can rip up the carpet. Let's do that. I've got all the tools. If you need any carpet ripped up, call me. I've got every tool you need for that. But yeah, as soon as I reach the point of like, what's going to happen when I do it wrong?
Yeah.
And
I think that's the absolute key point. You've hit the nail on the head on there. Like having a look at, as I say, we're getting our kitchen done, and it was looking at it, I was like, oh yeah, I could easily put this together and I could sort it out.
Yeah.
But it's that moment when someone, probably myself, have put in a wrong measurement or some kind of miscalculation in one little point. Yes. How do I fix it from there? And that's then my responsibility, and everything kind of falls apart in a crumbling heap, and I'm lying on the floor covered in cork with a corking gun in my hand, just weeping into my whiskey for the next 2 weeks, and I end up having to pay someone else to come out and do it anyway. Like, you know, it's not the fact that I can't do in a perfect world, yes, I could do it, but the world is not perfect, and I'm guaranteed to stuff it up. So I think that knowing your limitation in that regard is very, very apt.
Yeah. I know I'm not handy, and I feel like an enormous disappointment to my father, who is extremely handy. He's some sort of savant DIY all-rounder. He can do cars, he can do whatever. He built out at one of our houses. It's just crazy. I can't do anything. So,
But, okay, Stu, question. In relation to that, and we know your father, he's lovely. He's a great guy. Was he wanting you to be included in all of these sort of things while he was doing it, or was he sort of like, "No, Stu, I'm good here.
No,
watch me go"?
No,
but he wanted to get you involved.
Same as the DIY cars, particularly. He was trying to show me what to do with cars and how to fix cars, and I was just too much of a dickhead prick trying to be a smart ass and being bored and going, who cares? To pay attention. He went, well, fuck you then. And so, all these valuable, extreme money-saving skills, which I could have learned, I was too busy being a dickhead to actually retain. Same as golf. He was trying to teach me golf, and I listened for a while, and then I hit a certain point in my teens where I was going, I don't want anyone to tell me what to do. I don't want to be coached. And he went, well, all right, well, stay at home then. And then, I'm not a very rich golfer today. So.
Still comes down to that. I think I look forward to doing to my kids what my dad did to me, which was just he keeps the image of me in stasis for when I left home at 19. So when I tell him I've done any kind of home maintenance or something like that, he's always like, "Oh, really? Oh, you never ever wanted to do that? Oh, what a surprise! You actually did something around the house."
Yeah,
I'm like, I'm 40. I'm 42, Dad.
But be honest, you're like that as well. You're surprised you've managed it as well, right?
At first, yes, but after a while, I always find my issue is like if I've got like to build two things, right? Two of the same thing, like a chest of drawers or something like that. The first one will be so shittily done because I'll rush, and then the second one I'll be like, let me just take my time. No need to rush. Oh, strangely enough, that one's less wobbly.
I wonder if we'll get through an episode without mentioning putting furniture together in some way. I think
that needs to be one of the Dad commandments. There you go.
I don't have. Yes, exactly. Thank you very much.
Well, let's see where it slides in later. All right. Dad commandment number 2 was any amount of money is worth your wife not having the shits with you. So all three of these ones we've got so far are all kind of tied into each other. So, knowing your limitations is pretty tied in with making sure that, your wife doesn't end up having the shits with you. So, therefore, spend the money. Get it done right.
Yeah, I think it's definitely specifically related to getting work done around the house.
Yes.
It's also related to, maybe buying the good car or the good lounge suite or something along those lines. That I think that's one of the lessons I've learned as an adult is that, in most cases, buying the good stuff does actually make a difference.
Well, it does make huge economical sense, yeah.
Yeah. Maybe a pithier way of putting it would be, tight assery always gets punished in the end. Yeah. Something like that.
Yes, I think that's a much... I like that. I think it makes sense.
Yeah.
Thou shalt be punished for thy tight assery.
The third one we've got here, and we were talking about this quite recently. Thou shalt always act blokier around tradies. So, it's your dad duty if you're near a tradie to lower your voice and get a wide stance going and start asking them questions about what they're doing, like you're somehow
on their level.
But then, if you are, then why are they in your house in the first place? I don't know if any tradies have fallen for that.
No. I know.
No, the question is, who is it for?
Yeah.
I think it's for yourself, to make yourself feel better, that you're not demanded by this person coming into your house who's much better than you at what you're trying to achieve.
Can we change the phrase "demand" to "de-dadded"?
De-dadded, sure.
It's like someone kicking the soccer ball around with your son. Is that what you're saying?
Well,
yeah, that's what we're talking about here.
Yeah,
is being re-dadded or de-dadded.
Yeah, de-dadded.
Re-dadded. I like that even better.
Undadded. Oh, yeah. Okay. All right, so that's what we've got so far. And, I think they all kind of tie in with each other nicely, but we can broaden this out a little bit. Mm-hmm. So I've asked us all to go away and think of another dad commandment. Did anyone have anything they wanted to offer up first?
I've got one that needs to be tabled to see what you say. And I'm trying to word it correctly, but...
That's where I've had trouble as well, so...
It's along the lines of funny beats discipline.
Oh, that's very similar to mine, actually.
Okay.
So, am I just going for... is it important that I'm funny over disciplining my children? Is it important that I recognise, yes, my children may have done something inappropriate, but do I recognise it's funny first?
See, that's very, very simple. See, I was going to table the idea of Schrodinger's fart joke. So a fart joke is simultaneously funny and not funny at the same time, depending on the situation. So
that's a very good way to put it. Yes, I know what you're saying.
So especially like the dinner table, for example. I know that my wife is on there's no poo or fart talk at the dinner table. Remembering my children are 5 and 3 years old, so this is pretty much their entire conversation. But particularly at the dinner table, that seems to be the most flatulent moment of the day for my children. So I'm sitting there trying not to crack myself, just laugh my ass off while this is going on. So I completely and utterly understand where you're coming from with this. And I think that we can probably refer back to the example of one of our friends from school, Mr. Hirons, if he's out there listening, and he was actually suspended for the egregious crime of dropping his trousers and mooning an opposition school's football team. And he'll always... I think the moment he said was, "Oh, so what did your parents say?" And he got home, he said, "Oh, Mum was pretty upset, but Dad just gave me a grin." And I think that pretty much sums it up. I think that's exactly what you're talking about, isn't it, Matthew?
I've got two stories. The first one is much tamer than the second. The first story is a proud moment which kicked off a fight between my two daughters, which was my eldest daughter eats unbelievably quickly and my youngest daughter eats like an old lady because she is an old lady. And I don't know if it was me or my wife said to my eldest daughter, "Oh my God, you stop, just slow down. You're eating like a pig." And without missing a beat, my youngest quoted The Simpsons, said, "Pigs tend to chew their food. I'd say she eats more like a duck," right? Which kicked off a huge fight between the two sisters, and my wife was like, Justine was like, "Oh, like, you can't like say that. That's rude or whatever." Like, just, but I was just like, "Oh my God, that was so funny." I was like, went and said to Noelle afterwards, "That was really funny." Don't worry about getting in trouble. That was so funny.
That was going to be my question. How much do you let on that it's funny, or is it just for you to
so
enjoy?
So at that point, at this one, I let her know how funny it was. The second one, which I hinted at last week, which was, I said something, again, around food to my eldest about, and this is where she's in year 7, and there's a change that happens in their brain where at school they're starting to say ruder and grosser and trying to gross each other out and who can push the boundaries of their humour, and they forget or they don't realise there's a barrier between what they say at school versus what they say at home. And I said something to her like, "I think you've just been eating too much sugar all day." And she said, "I know what you've been eating all day." And she mimed a cock.
Oh. Wowzers. Where did that come from?
Right? I don't know. But my first reaction was, far out, that's hilarious. Right? Again, at the dinner table, and Justine, but that was one point where I was like, no, I cannot endorse that with a laugh. I will tell her later in life how funny that was, but I won't tell her now. So she got in trouble.
So were you just holding your breath at the table with water running out of your eyes, or what?
Yeah, I had. Justine said, "You go to your room, how dare you?" And I said, "Yes, go to your room." She went to her room, and I didn't say anything. And then I just said to Just, "Oh my God, how funny was that?" She was like, "Where did she get that from?" And I was like, "I don't know."
Hang on a second. Whoa. I want to know more about that conversation, because I know that if that happened in my house, that my wife and I would probably spend 20 minutes later that night either reenacting it or...
Okay, what do you mean exactly?
Well, no, sorry.
Higgins, I don't know.
Damn it. I hadn't said anything for 7 minutes. I had to say something.
He's checking. So, how are we going to word that commandment then, fellas? What did we land on something there? So it was, thou shalt acknowledge the funniness of...
The humour?
Of a craven act.
Yes.
Before thy dishes out discipline, or something like that.
Yeah, exactly.
All right.
Yeah.
Or always acknowledge comedy when it's there, no matter what the circumstance.
Yeah. Well, yeah, there's a limit. There's a limit when your daughter's miming a cock, but there is. But it's along those lines. Yes, definitely.
Uncomfortable. All right.
I'll keep that for, like I said, I'll keep it for later, and later in life, I will remind her of that story and let her know just how funny I thought it was. Yeah. It comes back to, that happens all the time in the classroom as a teacher, where someone says something horrible, but it's worded perfectly and the timing's amazing, and you want to acknowledge it.
Yeah. All right.
Go.
Okay, so that was a kind of an amalgamation of Maddie and Rich's there. Ben?
So, I have a question.
That's
and
not
maybe
what
we
asked
can
for.
work with something from here. I understand, but I don't like to follow the rules, Stu, and that's not a commandment, but that's just how I roll. Having cleaned up to have our bathrooms sort of renovated, it means we've sort of
Back to the bathroom.
I know. So, I've found a whole heap of stuff that I had kept from Father's Days past. That
Oh, yes. Interesting.
in many situations, if someone had given you that as a gift,
I'm assuming they
and
did.
it had then you would have either re-gifted it to someone else or you would have chucked it in the bin a long time ago. But because it holds some significance in the fact that it was given to you by your child or made by your child or something along those lines.
So are these, sorry,
So
are
they-
these specifically Father's Day themed presents?
Yes.
Right, okay.
So if I gave you an acrostic poem about
Yep.
your name, you would be like, "Oh, great, thanks very much. Let's straight in the bin."
Well, look, I'd probably keep it on my bedside table for a while, but then at some stage I'd go, well, I know my name and I pretty much know this off by heart now because I've woken up to it every morning. So thank you,
Right.
Matthew, but now it's going in the bin.
Yeah.
So you're asking what are the limits, what are the statute of limitations on crappy gifts?
Correct, because I pulled out a Frisbee that said World's Best Dad on it the other day
Yeah.
and
Fantastic.
thought, nah, it's got to go.
Why?
Oh.
So-
What's wrong with the Frisbee?
Well, it was a small Frisbee. It didn't fit well in my hand and it was just poorly.
And your technique up, was it?
Was it a coaster?
I can just see the world's best dad. Yeah, but world's worst frisbee. Fuck off you.
Throw it straight over
Yeah,
the
that's
fence
right.
and be like, "Oh, well."
Well,
But
they
yet
made it over the
I
fence.
will-
It must be all right.
But yet I've got 6 mugs with World's Best Dad on
Yeah.
them. And every time I get a key ring, because I'll usually get a key ring once a year from one of my children at some stage, I think I now have more World's Best Dad key rings on my bunch of keys than I do keys.
Yeah.
I'll tell you what's.
see-
I'll tell you what's not a great feeling is when you are having an argument or fight with your kid, and you're both not feeling good. It ends, and then you go, "Oh, I'll make myself a cuppa," and then pull out your World's Best Dad mug, and you go, "Oh,
I don't deserve to drink out of this.
Well, that's why you have 6 of them, because
Well,
you're
I
always
was
going to break that one. You know, something will happen and you'll end up throwing it against the wall or something along those lines.
So, Richard, how many World's Best Dad style mugs do you have?
None.
I got none as well. What's going on?
I've got-
I'm going to find my children
I've got
later.
three.
Yeah, I've got
no key rings.
I've got a picture mug. I got a picture mug with like baby pictures on it, but doesn't say
yeah.
anything about best dad or
It's
love
not
dad.
about you. It's all about them.
It's just random babies. It's not of my children.
right, yeah.
Stock photo babies.
Can I suggest that your kids might give you kind of more thought out gifts? Because
No.
the mugs and the key rings are just the first thing you might see on a Father's Day stall table.
Yeah. They bought me a book once that just had a picture of a birthday cake on the cover.
Yeah.
So that's a bit more
Father's
thought
Day
out, I
cake.
guess.
Yeah, why isn't that a thing?
Father's Day cake should be exactly.
We're
Can
always
that be
up
the
for
next
cake.
commandment?
Oh, that's the next commandment. We're
Father's
always
Day
up
cake.
for cake.
Can we just get to what Wiggo's commandment is? Because we've only had a question so far.
Fair enough.
Oh, that's
Yes,
it.
right,
I'm
sorry.
not even sure. So,
Well,
have we decided, is there a statute of limitations on, or a time period?
5
or is
years.
are we expected to keep everything, or what's going on?
5 years.
Or is
I
there
like-
one particular gift that you get? So the commandment may very well be that no matter how crazy the X gift is, you always keep that one particular gift, i.e. key rings,
Or
i.e. mug.
yeah. Or if you get gifted something you've already been gifted in the last year or two,
Yes.
you get to yeet the
Yeah.
first one out. Like if you got a mug and then 2 years later you got another mug, they're not thinking, they're not trying. Yeet the first one out. All right, you want a mug, or I'll get rid of this bloody mug then.
You know what? Wait, I mean, I don't want to get too technical here, but maybe when you get the new batch of presents, then you ditch 20% of your previous collection.
Yeah, okay.
So it's like a rolling.
Right. Yes, the rolling
The admin
commandment.
involved there, though. Like,
Yeah, I know. It doesn't have to be that technical, but you get the new batch. You get rid. It doesn't have to be like the oldest go. It's like, we just
The least used.
that might be a year old.
but get rid of it if
Give
it's
it to
not
another
being
dad.
used. And
Dad it on.
the problem is with the issue with nostalgia, which happens, which is, they give it to you when they're 2. 5 years later, it's whatever, and then 5 years after that, I remember this when they gave it to me too. Then it's a piece of crap again, and then it's significant. So
Yeah.
that's an issue that I think is up to the individual. Let's leave that up to the individual father.
See, I think
But-
my littlies are too young to have been choosing presents per se, like the stuff that they get
Right.
given from preschool and stuff like that. But So I'm dreading the moment when I start having to throw out presents. I think of some of the crap presents I bought from Father's Day stores past, and I just look back and it is so cringeworthy. Like I think I bought,
How many pens?
Oh, I think I literally bought my grandfather a used razor blade, like a disposable razor.
What?
From the Father's Day
just a
store.
blade?
From a gang fight?
How was it used?
I know. Well, this is it. Like, it was, I don't know, it was like a 5-pack of razors and someone just chucked one in for the Father's Day store. Like, as if anyone's going to buy that. And Muggins here comes along and goes, oh, my granddad shaves. I'm sure he'll love it.
Oh, yes.
Nice. All right.
I wonder if he's still got those. And he goes, the nostalgia.
Yeah. All right. So what did we end up? Thou shalt decide thy own statute
shalt
of limitations on crappy presents.
Yeah.
Thou shalt piff thy crappy presents into thy dumpster.
Yes.
All right.
Without guilt. That's the
Without guilt,
commandment.
yeah.
All right.
Yes.
I will.
And can I propose just one more? Sorry, very quickly.
Oh, of course.
Just from one of the dadliest dads of them all. Thou shalt not let mooches into thine hut. I think it's just one we just need to put in there.
Yep.
As being both a moocher and a moochie in the past, we need to recognise the fact that those mooches should not be allowed in.
All right. Well, I think the one that I kept coming back to this week was, "Thou shalt forgive thy family their foibles," and the reason for that is I might let repeated little things they do get to me. But also, I wanted to have the word foibles in the commandments there somewhere. So, but you know what I'm talking about. Things like the one that I think drives me the craziest is somebody reaching into a packet of food of something in the pantry, pulling out the last one, leaving the packet in the pantry for all to see. That happens without fail.
Sorry, I had to take a deep breath.
So you're saying that's forgivable, are you? Do we need to forgive that?
What I'm saying is, you need to get over the little things that irritate you, because in the end, you may think leaving this empty packet in the pantry is simply a sign that, no one's caring about anyone else. No one's caring about the next person who might go, ooh, I'll have one of those, and then be disappointed because there's nothing in there. But really, in the end, you're going to look like the crazy one who keeps getting upset that the chicken grimpy packet's empty. Going, what happened to your dad? Oh, he went crazy after he found the 5th chicken crimpy packet in a row empty in the pantry.
Yes.
See, I think at the moment mine is I've become like a very stereotyped dad and leaving the heat lamp on in the toilet.
Oh,
I've got like a heat light,
Right.
and that is just a constant. And it's just like, turn the bloody heat light off.
Yeah.
Like, it's not just a normal light; it's a heat light. It's costing a fortune. Check my app.
To burn
I
out. They're
mentioned it
dangerous.
last week. It drives me crazy. The kids take their shoes off and just leave them where everyone walks, right? The walkway.
So you're saying all these things are forgivable? We just let it slide?
I'm just saying that if you let them get to you because you've asked people to stop and they're not stopping, that will escalate into something. If you just keep up your side of it, that will escalate.
What it will escalate to, and maybe this is another commandment that we need all to be prepared for, is what it escalates to is them doing impersonations of you, losing your shit about that.
Exactly. Yeah.
And possibly sucking a cock.
Now you might have a perfectly legitimate excuse of, look, I've asked them 50 times. It is a bit of selfishness to not think of the next person to leave the packet in there. Like, you might have a perfectly valid reason why it upsets you, but you'll only be remembered as the chicken crimpy dad who went mad reefing packets out of it.
To illustrate the point, when we used to, me and my brothers used to play cards well into the early hours. When my mother would come out, and rightly so, yell at us for being too noisy, she would come out with her eyes squinted, and we said she looked like Clive James. So we used to just impersonate her as Clive James, telling us to go to bed. So that's what happens as a parent. So maybe that's a commandment. Now, if you were to call my brothers and mention that to them, they would have perfect recollections and could do the impersonation as well. If you don't go to bed right now, I'm going to get very angry at you. That's what you're prepared for.
Oh, God. I don't know why I found that so funny. I just did. All right.
Question.
Oh, yeah.
Could one of the commandments be, don't overstep your mark? And by what I mean there is that recently I made the claim that the next time someone did something that irritated
empty
me,
threat.
I was going to do something that irritated them. Now,
What a great threat.
and specifically it was, I'm just going to throw your shoes in the bin.
Oh, yeah.
So, because we also have a shoe issue in my house, Stu, where the shoes just are strewn, thither and thine. And
That was an impressive sentence.
thank you. And so I made a threat.
Yeah.
So thou shalt not utilise the empty threat.
Or fill your house with empty threats.
Yeah.
Oh, I like that.
Do not furnish thy hut, thy home with empty threads.
Yes, good.
All right.
Yes, because that is a house of sticks, my friend.
It's better than straw, I guess.
All right. Well, I think we've got some things to think about there. I don't necessarily feel we need to keep this list of commandments to 10. It can be an ever-growing beast for as long as we feel like keeping this podcast going for. And we'll add to it organically, I'm sure, as we go along. But for now, I think we've really started laying a good platform down. Thank you, gentlemen.
Pleasure.
We shall see you next time.
Goodbye.
Adios.
Hello, everyone. Thanks for listening again to another episode of ours. We really appreciate it. If you listen on Apple, would you be kind enough to leave a review? People see it. If you leave a nice one, they go, oh, that might be a nice podcast. I might have to listen to that. Oh. That's how they usually sound. So, yeah, please do that if you listen on Apple. As far as I know, Monty and Lindsay going well. I haven't heard from them for a few days, which I hope means that they're, catching up on a bit of sleep, perhaps. Maybe I'm being optimistic. I'm not sure. Thanks again for listening. Talk to you again soon.